What's your problem, man?
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. This is another episode of The Third Take. We are your co-hosts, Lubaba, Prince Zuko,
And Taha. Zuko, would you like to say something? Zuko.
That
Zuko.
was a statement of its own.
Are you happy to be in Paris? Oh, Zuko has left. Okay. Well, I'm wearing orange today.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Well, I'm wearing a lot of cat hair today.
Yeah. Well, I'm wearing orange because we're about to talk about a very orange man's cabinet picks. Yes, you guessed it right. It is not Garfield the cat. It is actually Donald Trump.
Dun, dun, dun.
Edit like booze, like boo.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our. Oh yeah.
Don't
we don't have the budget for edits. Sorry guys. But
We don't have
boo.
the budget for
Okay, so Donald Trump has been reelected.
Crazy.
As yeah. Who saw that coming?
Political strategist. That's dark culture
Very sad
wars.
state of affairs. For minorities, for women, for literally the world.
Yeah, for most people that are not cishet men that already have established power. Also,
And
frankly,
white.
yeah, exactly. And especially for people who, you know, are not the 1%. And like, we'll get into this another day, but we've been talking back and forth. Like, actually, who is going to benefit from Trump's policies? Him and maybe like 50 of his friends. And that's literally it, actually. Even world global leaders are not benefiting as much.
No, for real though.
Yeah.
I love that every time CNN is like, Trump said this crazy thing. He said that he's going to institute this crazy policy. But the stock market remains unfeathered and unchanged. And I'm like, I wonder why.
Wow.
Because he's literally there
Yeah.
to prop up and support his rich friends.
Yeah, because he's a businessman.
And speaking of his rich, influential friends,
Oh, he's
his
got so many.
gang of influencers that are going to be the cabinet picks. And we take no pleasure in saying this. I recently had a friend from the US who haven't talked in a while reach out to me and say, like, wow, as somebody that's minimally impacted by Trump's win, must be easy for you to say, told you so. And I was like, first of all,
wow.
wasn't saying told you so. Second, the Western American privilege that is showing. And to tell a Muslim, Pakistani, Canadian person that I will be minimally impacted by Trump's win.
And let's
no hate to that person.
No, but
they
like,
shall remain confidential.
Today, Trump just announced his whole tariffs idea. Or yesterday, his whole idea about tariffs on
Also,
Canada
I think
and
that all love to our neighbors in the South, Americans,
y'all have it
American citizens,
rough.
but they sometimes forget that people in the global South and people across the world have actually been suffering at the hands of American policies for centuries, literally, right?
Yeah.
So it's not new to us; it is new to you. I was just gonna say that people have been subjected to centuries of American colonial imperialism, and American citizens are just experiencing it. Well, I would say privileged and white American citizens are experiencing it now. What Native American have experienced throughout their lives, what Black Americans have experienced all throughout their life. So it is really hard for a lot of Americans to now be like, why are you not centering us? We are centering you, but we're also trying to build like bridges of solidarity worldwide, and for you to understand that yes, it is a horrible situation, but it's a horrible situation for all of us, actually.
It's true.
I'm worried for women's rights in America. I'm worried for the rights of gender minorities. I'm worried for undocumented people. I'm worried for, I mean, we both are. And I think that it's an incredibly sad situation, but it doesn't help that Trump is selecting absolute clowns.
No.
This clown car of cabinet picks,
It's
which
goofy.
makes us laugh, but also cry, because we laugh because it's stupid, but we cry because it's going to be horrific.
Because it's our governance. Because it's our leadership. Why we don't want to look at
American leadership, but it affects us because we're basically America's
proxy state.
Proxy state.
We prop up the American
There's
empire.
America, Canada, and then Russia. On top of us.
It's rough. So
the world is not flat.
In any case, let's get to the cabinet because we've got lots of people to get through and lots of people to roast. Taha,
and our editor and cameraman hates us because
something like that.
are giving Too many yes.
Okay, let's start with...
I love you guys.
You do.
Oh,
You're a Libra.
Yes. Would you like to say something, Isaac?
No, I love you guys. I just want the clips to be really clippy.
Yes. Okay,
We're gonna give you some clippy clips, guys.
Oh yeah, some clippy clips. Okay, let's get down to it. Will this cabinet be a dream team or a nightmare on Pennsylvania Avenue?
I think it's gonna be a nightmare.
Well, I think it already is a nightmare. We are living in it.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like if I don't like smile while I say this,
Yeah.
I will actually start crying.
Because what else are you gonna
it's
do?
It's gonna be a nightmare.
You either laugh or cry. No, it's
also just really quickly for anybody who doesn't know, Trump is the president-elect, so he's gonna be sworn in, mid-January. But until then, it's been tradition that a lot of the times American presidents would announce like who their cabinet picks are, like who's gonna be Secretary of Education, which for the rest of the world means Minister of Education, because America's not like other girls, it likes to do things differently. So it's like Secretary of Education or Secretary of State, which is basically a foreign minister. So let's get through this list.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of a list, but we are just gonna go through some highlights.
Yeah.
So first off, let's talk about our Attorney General. We have the infamous Matt Gaetz. Originally we had the infamous Matt Gaetz.
He dropped out.
Yes, of Florida. There are rumors that he may be leading sex trafficking rings. That's Attorney General. After Matt Gaetz actually dropped out, fortunately enough, we have Pam Bondi. So my girl Pam Bondi, she was the Attorney General in Florida, and now she's about to be the Attorney General of the U.S.
I don't have a lot to say about her. She's always been a Trump ally, and I think that says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, she defended him in his first impeachment trial, so...
Amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
Regarding Matt Gaetz, who obviously dropped out and is no longer going to be considered for, Attorney General, basically the friend that he had, or still has, I don't know, was the one that pled guilty to kind of doing horrible things with minors, sex trafficking rings.
I see.
And people are saying by association, Matt Gaetz might also be involved, so he's being investigated. There was an ethics report that was supposed to come out by the American Congress, but basically a day or two before they were going to release it, Matt Gaetz resigned from his position as a congressman and said, "Oh, I've been selected by Trump to be the pick for Attorney General," which in America, you're not just appointed. Like the president recommends you, and then the Senate in the Congress has to actually like review your appointment, and you have to get the majority votes to get approved to be that person in the cabinet member. So he dropped out, and now he's also dropped out. He dropped out as a congressman, and now he dropped out as a pick. So a lot of people are saying that Marco Rubio, who's been selected by Trump as Secretary of State, is going to leave a Senate seat that's going to be open in Florida. Because Marco Rubio is currently a senator from Florida. But what happens in America is that when a senator leaves their position midterm, because the president picks them to lead Secretary to the State Department, the governor of the state gets to appoint a senator until the next election. So who's the governor in Florida? Ron DeSantis, or Meatball Ron, as Donald Trump used to call him. Not me. Donald Trump used to call him that. If you're upset.
D.Trump's words.
If you're upset, first of all, why are you upset? You said woke is dead. Why are your feelings hurt? You said woke is dead, so I can say whatever I want. So Ron DeSantis, people are saying, I don't know if it's going to happen, people are saying he's going to appoint Matt Gaetz as the senator. And Marco Rubio is going to go on to be the Secretary of State.
Oh my goodness.
And that leads us into Secretary of State. Marco Rubio.
Yeah, this is bad enough. This is like, why is it always Florida? Florida loves to throw a wrench in things.
No, literally, we've just started talking, and all the four people we've talked about. Trump is also based in Florida.
Yes,
now.
exactly.
He used to be a New Yorker, but now he's based in Florida.
Right. Yeah. Can you believe Florida used to be a swing state? It used to be,
Now it's just swinging at Americans.
Yeah, it really is. They took open carry a little too far.
So anyway,
let's move on.
Marco Rubio. Horrible hawkish pick. Is for like really hawkish policies. Hawkish basically implies like pro-war or pro-interventionist policies in other countries. So he hates Iran, hates Cuba, in Latin America and in Iran and the Middle East and other places. He wants to have like really hawkish and pro-war, pro-interventionist policies, which I think is horrible.
Absolutely. It also, wasn't he a candidate for the Republican nomination this time around as well in the primaries?
Last time in 2016.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think Trump found a little, connecting.
Sorry, you said little because Trump used to call him Little Marco.
Oh, Marquito.
These people have no shame.
No, they have no
They're
shame.
literally like, yeah, you hated me.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me be your Secretary of State.
It's true. Well, Trump really found the string of power that he needed in order to
It's crazy.
go about his business. That's wild.
Next up.
Let's talk about the Department of Health and Human Services. As a public health major, this breaks my soul. But
Yeah, if you didn't know, we're actually... Okay, I'm going to say Lulu is very smart. Lobaba is very smart.
Thank you. I didn't know where that was going to go.
She studied public health. Why would I say something bad?
I didn't think
you
it was
are
bad. I
smart.
was
You
just like,
studied
yeah.
public health.
Yes. It
Public
took
health
my
policy.
life. Yes, health policy. Yeah.
Health
I am
policy.
a public health major, and this is my bread and butter.
How has it been for you to live through the era of
pandemic?
you graduated and the world was like, we don't believe in vaccines?
Truly, in my final semester of my undergrad, we were going through the beginning of the pandemic, and I was living my case study in real time, and then people weren't listening.
You were like, capstone, you mean life?
You know what I mean? I'm like senior thesis, literally like our public health strategy, literally
Co-authored by the world.
Exactly, emergency preparedness. It was literally about emergency preparedness. Anyways, I digress. So we're going to talk about healthcare, and unfortunately, as it's crumbling,
Department of Healthcare.
yes, the Department of Health and Human Services, a lovely
I'm scared.
icon is actually the secretary of is in charge of the healthcare department, Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the infamous anti-vaxxer who once said, quote, "There's no such thing as a safe vaccine."
I just want to bang my head against a wall because...
No, truly. With my degree.
No, literally. Because RFK Jr. is a dangerous person. And I think the reason why his appointment is dangerous for the world is because people that think we would be minimally impacted. That's not true. Because, to be very honest, the world follows CDC, which is the American Center for Disease Control.
100%.
And American health guidelines a lot of the times, right?
Yes.
So when
we
you
look
have...
to the CDC for direction,
Absolutely.
especially in North America, because what impact...
And globally, actually.
Exactly.
Right? So when you have a person like RFK Jr. who has...
I think it is not just ridiculous, but irresponsible to negate public health and public safety. This man can be so reckless. He actually visited Samoa, the island country, in June 2019 and caused a measles outbreak there. And not only did this man bring measles back to Samoa, he also... And the issue with this outbreak is that, one person's health doesn't just impact the one person when it comes to public health and community health. The reason why public health is so important is because this one measles outbreak, it infected not only 5,700 people in Samoa, but it also killed 83 people who were mostly young children. Reckless.
And that's also Samoa's not a very big country.
It's not.
So for this to happen, 83 mostly kids to die.
Yeah, that's a large portion.
A lot of people, yeah.
Like when we think about their population size, it's a large proportion of their population.
I don't even know what to say about that. It's so incredible. It's incredibly sad. We're seeing measles outbreaks pop up. We're seeing just some Hollywood celebrities and their spouses prop up anti-vax rhetoric. Right. It's really
We see polio coming back.
And I think that as you've done research and you continue to do so, I do research now, not in public health, but in different fields. And it's really sad when people say, I did my research, and it's a Google search. It's a video that they watched on YouTube.
It's half a paragraph on Wikipedia.
It's part of a discourse analysis that you've done, but
the
that's
body
not
of work.
Research.
No.
And I think it's really sad to see people get manipulated, people we care about, by people like RFK Jr., by people who are anti-vaxxer, people like I don't even want to
and people
platform others,
and
other
and
anti-vaxxers.
framing it as something that is infringing on your individual rights and autonomy as a person. The importance of public health. I think it's like, I love being in a public health environment, like a public health learning environment, because it's full of people who understand solidarity to a T, who understand solidarity in the terms of every social issue that could impact our life and our health. And I think it's important to recognize just how important public health is, because these are the tools in which we use to protect each other, right? It's the most practical form of caring for your neighbor and for loving each other.
Lubaba, I really love how you describe that in terms of solidarity, because we see a lot people say, I care about other people, I'm a good person, I'm this, I'm that. And then completely disregard public health guidelines about, getting a flu shot, getting your vaccines and being up to
wearing
date.
a mask.
Yeah.
Like, if wearing a mask is what is the task that helps you show a deep level of care and solidarity for your neighbor, I would argue that most people would do that if asked to. If most people are asked, hey, I'm someone you care about, will you do this gesture for me of wearing a mask, of covering your face? I would argue that most people would do that for a friend. And so if you would do that for a friend, consider every life is a universe. And so why not consider your friend's friend?
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, I always ask people when they say masks don't work, and I'm like, okay, well, if your loved one was really sick in the ICU and you had to visit them and the doctor said wear a mask so you don't get them sick, you would wear a damn mask.
You would wear a mask.
And
if it was that easy to save and protect the people around you, why wouldn't you do that?
And I think we can talk about this in a different episode because this is a very lengthy topic. But I think that moral of the story, or the point, is that solidarity, as you described, is incredibly important. And I sometimes wonder what these politicians are doing, what these anti-vax people are doing, and they're actually propping up individualism to an extent where it's like all about me and not about the collective.
No.
And I think it's quite sad, but we can discuss that in another episode for sure. But yeah, so RFK Jr. is going to be, if he's confirmed by the Senate, is going to be leading this Department of Health and Human Services. And something I think a lot of people have said who are his supporters is that, he's talked about getting artificial ingredients and chemicals or whatever out of the food and everything. Which, yes, we do need that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, like, Canada has banned a lot of chemicals that the States uses. And I have no stat about our health.
Yeah.
And so
but
perhaps
we also believe in vaccines. And I think that it's really incredible that this man has tried to convince people and almost like trick them into thinking that he's this savior. Yeah. Whereas like he's actually like, okay, so you remove these chemicals from your food, but then he also talks about drinking unpasteurized milk.
Oh.
Which, I mean, that's a whole Pandora's box. If anybody's listening to us, please don't drink unpasteurized milk.
Let us know if we should talk about the dairy industry.
Absolutely. I love lactose-free milk. Go Canadian dairy farmers. Cancel me if you have to. Okay, next.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. I also want to talk on the topic of healthcare. I just want to mention an iconic doctor that will be, and this is so sarcastic, my friends, if you aren't understanding, an iconic doctor who will be the administrator for the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services. Yeah, so for the Center of Medicaid and Medicare Administration, the iconic, sarcastic, please, the iconic doctor praised by Oprah herself that will be handling the administration of these services is Dr. Mehmet Oz, which, if folks don't know his medical background, do a little typity type, go look him up, and learn a little bit more about
he was
our Dr. Oz.
Personal doctor for family doctor for The Wizard of Oz. And Trump saw Wicked with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, was like, you know what? Let's just give people what they want. Because
that was sarcastic for the autistics.
Of course. Like, what are we even doing? Because I think that Mehmet Oz is such a dangerous appointment for this role.
Of course.
This man has... First of all, did you know that he's a heart surgeon?
I did. But I watched
then-
Oprah.
Yeah, because of Oprah. Yeah, but it's crazy because he's taken such a turn.
Yes,
because
he
in
has.
capitalism, you make money based off
Yeah.
of whatever you can sell, and how
Especially when you
can-
have private healthcare.
Yeah, so he's just been selling all these products that like don't work, and he's admitted they don't work on. Well, he's admitted that they work for him,
Right.
But that he does not have evidence that actually they work for people.
Yeah, babe, that's not very evidence-based of
No,
you.
it's not evidence based at all, and I think that it's another dangerous appointment.
Absolutely.
And I just wonder if we're gonna be defying gravity because he might be the end of us.
It's gonna make us melt.
horrible wicked jokes.
Okay, Taha, let's go down the list. Tell us a little bit more about.
Yeah, so next up we have the Department of Homeland Security, which is going to be headed by the one and only Kristi Noem. And if you don't know who Kristi Noem is, she got popular. So Kristi Noem got popular over the last year because she was she was one of Trump's nominations, like basically for his vice presidential pick. She didn't get it because she literally revealed in her book that she shot a dog.
Oh yes, this chick. Oh my yeah.
And she's going to be leading Homeland Security, which should frighten us all.
Yeah.
But if that frightens you, do you know who's going to be Trump's pick for what he said he's going to be his pick for the ambassador to the United Nations?
Oh my God, no! Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me.
Elise Stefanik.
Tell me.
A woman who basically said that all criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
She has horribly defamed and slandered pro-Palestinian professors, activists, people that have evidence to back up their arguments. And Elise Stefanik has waged a war against them. And again, it's awful that she's going to be, if confirmed, the American ambassador to the United Nations.
Yeah.
Because if you thought the Biden administration was bad, you are correct. And it's going to just continue into the Trump administration as well.
Yeah, Biden was stiff, but Trump is aggressive.
And I think it's really weird that even now that Biden is in this lame duck period, which is what scholars would call him, because now he knows his political party didn't win. He knows that he's not going to be the president. He can actually abstain from a lot of votes in the United Nations Security Council.
Yeah, within these 2 months.
Like the Obama administration did, where they let a resolution pass by abstaining, so settlements could be condemned, right? But now Biden's not doing that, and then actually they are actively vetoing resolutions that are critical of Israel's human rights violations and Israel being basically is committing a genocide.
Yeah, and that was the fourth time, right?
And it really shows you that everybody that told us, oh, Biden's better than Trump, it's like, yeah, in many ways he is, but when it comes to the issue of Palestine, I mean,
when it comes to geopolitics,
Trump is basically going to do and say what he's doing, whereas Biden is basically kind of doing the same thing, but gaslighting all of us that he's not actually doing it.
Right.
And once again, this is not me saying, Biden and Trump are the same. This is just on the issue of geopolitics and their stance on the Middle East as a region and on Palestine specifically.
Okay, Taha, we have a handful of other picks to go through, but I want... And on the topic of anti-Semitism, let's discuss our bestie, the ambassador to Israel, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee.
First of all, not our bestie. We're being sarcastic. Well, she's being sarcastic.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Again, for the autistic,
Mike Huckabee...
I'm right here with you.
Yeah, Mike Huckabee is awful. He actually went to Israel back in the day, not that long ago actually, and said that there's no such thing as a Palestinian. He said that there is no such thing as a West Bank. And I think this is an incredibly horrific pick for the American ambassador to Israel. It really just shows you that the evangelical Zionist lobby, so a lot of people don't know this, but most Zionists in the world are actually evangelical Christians. Many American and Western Jewish citizens are actually anti-Zionist Jews, and I'm not saying the majority. You can look up those stats and please correct us if we're wrong. But what I will say is that majority of Zionists in the world are evangelical Christians, and Mike Huckabee is part of that lobbied group. And they basically maintain that Israel belongs to the Jewish people because they believe that once all Jewish... This is like, I'm not making this up. This is what evangelical teachings say, that evangelical Christian teachings say, that once all Jews have moved to Israel... and are in that land, the rapture will happen. and God will send the Messiah, and many Jewish people will die in the process, but at least God will send us the Messiah. And I'm like,
oh, babe,
this is anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
Because you want Jewish people to move there, so many of them can die, and you can get a Messiah. Like, basically,
I would agree.
We're going off of like, and no disrespect to anyone's religion, but we're literally like going off of texts from 3,000, 5,000 years ago, and using those, which is totally fine. You can practice your religion, but you're using those texts to justify a genocide.
Absolutely. You're being reckless with people's lives right now. I think this whole rhetoric really reminds me of the iconic Octavia Butler, and God bless her soul, I love her so much. If folks don't know me, then you don't know that my favorite book is Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler.
Parable of the Sower.
Parable of the Sower. And in it, it's actually funny because at the beginning, so the book starts in 2024. It was written back in the 90s, though, but she makes so many predictions that come true 30 years later in our modern day that really reflect this silly, goofy nature of, like, Trump's cabinet, for example, because she talks about how...
Silly, goofy, but scary.
Yes, exactly. And reckless, right? She talks about how, like, our leadership is basically... leadership in our governance system, yes, is being made is making a mockery of itself. And she depicts a character similar to Trump, but specifically someone who then pushes his fascist ideas through this lobby called Christian America, who embodies a lot of these same ideas that you're mentioning, Taha. And I think when I first read it, I read it about a year ago. When I first read it, I thought, wow, this is really the worst world that we could imagine. I should really, think about the possibilities of this in the future. And then what do we have? The reality of a second Trump presidency.
Trump was like, hold my beer, Lubaba.
No, dead ass. And I think it's absolutely reckless to make a mockery of our democratic systems like this just to justify withholding working class people's autonomy and our say in decision-making processes, because he's really making a mockery of the entire cabinet. I would argue
American citizens never really had that. Yeah, you elect your representatives, but then there's the Electoral College, which we can do a whole other episode on.
Exactly.
I think American democracy has been flawed to begin with.
Absolutely.
I know many people are shaking right now, being like, America is the best, but it's like American democracy has always been flawed, and we're actually seeing the manifestation of those flaws in real life.
Exactly.
But to your point, first of all, guys, we're not being paid by Parable of the Sower or Octavia Butler's team.
The iconic book. I would love to be.
Lubaba just loves the book, and I
learned so much from it.
Why.
It's really prepared me to understand how Trump has gotten to where he is and exactly what he plans to do with the power that he has.
Absolutely. I mean, we can talk so much about the rest of the picks. We can talk about Pete Hegseth and his misogyny and how he hates the military, but he's going to be in charge of the Pentagon. There's a lot there. Yeah. But one of the last things we'll talk about, which is, the
Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah. Talk about making a mockery of itself. The Department of Government Efficiency, a new role, which is going to be led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
A character we have mentioned here before. I think when I think when I saw the election night results coming in and a broadcaster had mentioned that Elon Musk was at Donald Trump's watch party watching the results come in with him, I think that moment really made something click in my brain where I was like, oh, this is the person who Trump is going to use as a tool to wage his wars and push his agenda. Elon Musk, he's garnered the loyalty, the trust, the collaboration, camaraderie of this billionaire who is already reckless with our lives, who is already reckless with public speech and engagement and ability to share knowledge. And he's about to use that tool for whatever he wants to do.
I mean, basically, they want to fire government employees. They want to make them political appointees, which means mass layoffs. It means the eroding of organizations like the Environment Protection Agency, EPA.
The bureaucracy that also just carries out our policies and programs.
Yeah, which we can definitely critique, but this doesn't mean that you get rid of these incredible people that are working and make them political appointees.
Absolutely.
And also, let's not forget that Elon Musk is a guy that lost money on Twitter.
To make a
This
point.
man
To make a point.
bought Twitter, turned it into X, lost tons of money, has now allowed Nazis to be platforming their views there.
Reduced its stock down to 20% of what it used to be.
Crazy. And I think, speaking of horrible fascist Nazi tendencies, I know we said it was the last one, but we do have to mention Stephen Miller.
Oh, we do indeed. We do indeed. This is... Tell us about Stephen Miller, Taha.
Guys, do you remember when Trump's first term, they were separating children at the border, at the southern border with Mexico, and they were separating children from their family members. Children were put in cages. Family members were taken away from their kids. And many of these kids have yet to be accounted for today. God knows where those kids are. I can only hope that they're okay. Stephen Miller came up with that policy. And he boasted about it. And he said, cruelty is the point.
Oh...
Now we have people like Stephen Miller that are going to be part of Trump's administration. He's going to be, I think, the deputy chief of staff.
These are the people championing democracy. People who are like, cruelty
literally.
is the motivator that we need to instill. These are the people championing democracy.
I mean, he's popularized lies about immigrants and undocumented people. He stood by. He always brings up these gangs from Venezuela that are it's just, sometimes I'm like, dude, how are you this devoid of empathy? Because you are actually saying false statements and you are...
And parading them.
You're parading them and you're actually... This is going to hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. It's dangerous. It's reckless.
And he, along with him, is going to be... I think the guy who's in charge of the border now is going to be... Hooman, I think, Tom Hooman, who was appointed by Obama initially, and now he's going to be in charge of ICE, which is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and he's literally said that, if it's too cruel to... So he basically is talking about deporting American citizens. So what I mean by that is that he says that if, let's say, a family was escaping a violent regime that America had installed in Nicaragua, right? And they traveled thousands of... Slay mama. Thank you. So let's say, and they finally get to America. They are undocumented because America does not make it easy for you to apply for asylum.
No.
But let's say while they're there, they're trying to get their paperwork ready, but they have a child. That child that's born in America is an American citizen as of right now, if we still have birthright citizenship. And basically, Tom Hooman is saying, when we deport the parents, we're going to deport the child too. Whether the child is 2 years old, the child is 18 years old, the child is 16 years old. And that really speaks that when you don't show up for people that are being oppressed, eventually the oppressors will come for you.
It's true. When we raise the floor, for example, for the migrants, we raise the floor for everyone. And so it's important that we fight for each other because whoever is at the bottom line is we are closer to the bottom line than we are to the millionaires, billionaires, etc., than we are to the ruling class. And when we raise the floor for the bottom line, we raise the floor for everyone. We raise the safety net up to a new standard. Yeah. And that's actually what we need to be fighting for.
Fight for the most vulnerable in your society so that the society can also be safe for them and for you.
It's uplifted for everyone.
If anything, I know this is going to sound a little bit silly, but if you haven't seen the new Wicked movie, we're also not being paid by Wicked.
If only.
But... our budget would exist if we did. But anyway, we also probably just wouldn't take money from them. But anyway, yeah. So all I want to say is if you've seen the new Wicked movie or not, it's really good. And they literally talk about how the Wizard of Oz, who's like their president or monarch, is basically blaming the animals in the kingdom for everything. And when you watch it, you can't help but think, wow, this is literally how migrants are being basically scapegoated for every issue in the Western world right now.
Yeah. Or painted to be.
It's not lack of housing policy over the last 30 years or education policy, healthcare policy, but it's actually migrants.
Yeah.
So let that sit with you. And I know there's a lot of picks we didn't get a chance to go over, but we will do more episodes about this. Yeah. And
let us know if we should do our picks instead.
Yeah. Kamala Harris always said she wants a Republican on the cabinet. She's going to get them.
We can make it happen.
We did it, Joe. We did it.